Hello everyone, welcome to VIZAG IAS Academy. Recently, a news was trending all over internet and it was also covered by the newspaper. More than 100 scientists from ISRO has resigned in the recent months. It was a great matter of concern, not only for ISRO as an independent organization, but also for India's space program. More than 100 scientists, but let me tell you, ISRO is a very huge organization. More than 14,000 employees are working at ISRO. Then you might be asking, sir, this is just 100. How does it make a difference? Problem does not lie in numbers. Problem lies in terms of the impact. Many scientists, technicians, engineers who resigned, they were working at very crucial programs. They were working at Gaganyaan mission. They were working at moon landing mission. They were working at SpaceX. They were working at many other important programs. So many senior scientists having an experience of 15 years, 20 years, they resigned, which is a matter of concern. So in this video, I'll be discussing all these aspects. Now let me tell you one thing. Now what happened? Department of Science released a circular. There was another circular in 2020. In 2020, government released a circular and government said, let me tell you one more thing here. ISRO has two major centers. One center is UN Rao Satellite Center, which is at Bengaluru. It basically does the designing part of the satellites and all. Another is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, from where there are actually launch. What happened in 2020? Government issued a circulation. Government said, if an employee, it can be a technician, engineer or scientist, if they want to resign, then the head of these centers have complete autonomy. They can accept their resignation. This circulation was in effect for last 5 to 6 years. So lot of scientists left organization. Now it is a matter of concern. Now government has released another circulation and government said no. Before accepting the resignation, head of these centers need to verify with the Department of Center. So if there is a resignation application, first it will go to Department of Space. Okay, Department of Space. From there, it will then come to the head of these organizations and then they can accept their resignation. It means government has made rules very strict about resignation because government does not want senior scientists, technicians, engineers to leave ISRO because it is going to impact very crucial projects which are going on for many years and we are about to launch them. So if scientists are going to leave like that, obviously there is going to be further delay in launching these projects. So why it is happening? Let me tell you a very important factor. Look, we can actually discuss two major factors. There are some pull factors and there are some push factors. Push factors. Pull factor is basically here private sector. And push factor is basically here ISRO itself. So there are some issues with ISRO which are basically pushing these scientists out of the ISRO. On the other hand, there is attraction from the private sector. The private sector is pulling them in and ISRO is sort of pushing them out. Not knowingly, but conditions are such that scientists are leaving ISRO and they are going towards the private sector. So we are going to discuss both these two aspects. Why these private companies are so attractive for these scientists and the engineers, or what are the issues right now going on with ISRO. We are going to discuss these two things and later on what is going to be the impact of this transaction. It's good or bad, how big it is, how small it is, we'll discuss that, and what are the projects which are going to be impacted because of that, and what are the solutions. What are the solutions to this problem? Is it such a big issue as it is shown in the social media or the newspaper, or it is a regular issue? We'll discuss about that also. From a UPSC perspective, topic is extremely important because last year itself, UPSC has asked a question here from the prelims about the private sector companies. We'll be discussing some private sector companies also. Next year, UPSC can ask a question from here in the mains as well. So this is a very important topic. ISRO is one of the top space organizations in the world. engineers, scientists are very well respected. Our launch vehicles are known all over the world because we provide commercial activity to the international satellites also. So if something is happening in ISRO, in India's private sector, it's extremely important topic. Not only in India, but if you see the USA, there's a company of Elon Musk, SpaceX, or lot of other companies which are doing very well in the America. Even in China, some private companies are also coming up. Recently, it was also in news because a private company from India, which is called Skyroot, it has launched its own private launch vehicle. India has become the third country in the world where a private company did like that. So it launched its Vikram launch vehicle basically. That is why it was in news. And in future, there is a lot of scope of private sector growing in this space field. So this is how we are going to discuss in this video. Okay, so first let's discuss the pull factors. Pull factor means what makes private companies so attractive that scientists are leaving from ISRO towards the private sector. The first and the most primary factor here is high salary. At the end of the day, everyone is working for the money. If you look at the salary structure, a very senior engineer or scientist in ISRO might get 15 to 30 lakh per annum package. But these private companies, startups which are coming up, because they have lots of funding, they can offer maybe 60 lakh to 1 crore and package per annum. Apart from that, that is not sufficient. They will also give you a signing amount. So if you join the company, they will give you a check of maybe 15,000, 20,000, maybe more than that. So you have a lot of bonus, signing amount, high salary. That is one of the most attractive points the scientists are leaving. Second factor, which is actually related to this, ESOP or shares. This is actually, some experts are saying this is the bigger factor than salary. Because scientists are taking a lot of risk when they are leaving ISRO. ISRO has a fixed salary, government job, prestige, lots of things are there. So if they are leaving ISRO for a private company, there has to be more scope of growth in future. Yes? Now, what is this ESOP? These startups, or let me give an example, let's say Skyroot, okay? Skyroot. These startups are not only giving them salary, they are making them as partner. So they are giving them a shares also. So in future, if that startup grows, these not only employees, but now they are shareholders also, they are investors also, they are also going to grow. So they are not only getting salary, they are becoming wealthy in future if these startups grow. So that is another factor. It's like if you invested, let's say, $1 million in Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, 20 years back. Now that $1 million would be many billion dollars. So you take risk, you invest your money, and this is how you grow in future. And here they are not taking any risk. They just need to join the company and some shares will be given to them. In future, if there is an IPO launched, if that company launches IPO, or let's say it is sold out to some other company, they can get a very heavy paycheck. That is there. So basically, scientists, engineers are looking at their distant future. They are looking at the future. They want to become wealthy. They don't want only salary. That is another factor. Another factor is promotion. Look, ISRO is a government organization. So there is a hierarchy. There is a set procedure. Hai na? So in order to take promotion in ISRO, it will take a lot of time. But in private sector, that hierarchy is not there. That seniority level promotion doesn't exist there. If you are working on a very great idea, if your idea is good, so basically here it is based on merit. You can get promoted without any seniority, and you can be a young scientist, but still you can get promotion. So here output matters, quality matters. This is another factor. There might be few scientists who might have felt stuck in ISRO's organizational structure. They want to break that. They want promotion. They might be more talented. So they have less scope in ISRO to grow. Here, they have lot of chances to get promotion. And as they are getting promoted, they will be getting higher salary as well. So young scientists who are more ambitious, maybe, so they are going towards the private sector. Another is startup culture. It is actually the same thing. ISRO is a government organization, so obviously it is a little bit conservative, lot of bureaucracy is also there, but startup culture is open culture. Any innovation, new ideas, experimentations are allowed here. And startups are also getting a lot of funding as well. So there is a lot of open space here to express your talent. Chances of innovation, chances of experimentation, flexibility is also there. So many young scientists basically who are more attractive towards the private sector. They are very attracted. Now, ownership of the project. What happens in ISRO? What happens in ISRO? One scientist, one engineer, one technician is given one task only. And for many, many years, during the process of that project, that scientist is stuck to that particular job. Let's say, for example, a scientist in ISRO can get a job regarding the fuel tank, or maybe to a software, or maybe let's say cryogenic firing, or something like that. So throughout the project, that scientist is going to be sticking to the same job only. It doesn't happen in the private sector. In private sector, a scientist can be a project manager. He can be managing multiple tasks. He can be having a team leader also. So one scientist can manage the whole project rather than sticking to the one thing. It will give him more sense of ownership. It will give him more prestige, because in ISRO, whole project is successful, but one scientist is stuck only to the one tiny job which was there. So basically young scientists, or even the experienced scientists, they want to express themselves in much larger role. That is why they are joining it. Venture funding is also there, because these are the startups. So if their idea is good, definitely, so they are getting millions and millions of dollars as a seed funding. If they have funding, they can have, their scientists can have access to the best laboratories in the world. Yes, best cutting edge technologies. So there is a lot of scope to experimentation, good laboratories, instrumentation, international exposure. So that is why scientists are attracted toward the private sector. And global collaboration. Lots of private organizations all over the world, maybe in Japan or USC or Canada or UK, they might be collaborating on a particular project. And because these private companies are collaborating, the scientists have more exposure to the global private sector and the cutting edge technology. So these are some of the factors which are the pull factors. That is why young and experienced scientists are leaving ISRO and going towards the private sector. Now let's discuss the push factor, or you can say issues with ISRO. Look, some of the factors I have already discussed, but let's take a brief look into this. What are the issues with ISRO? First one is the salary, of course. Salary is not market competitive. Being a government organization, salary is quite low. Yes, there are going to be promotions, but these promotions are based on the seniority, hierarchical level. So you have to wait basically for the new pay commission. And every year there might be a 5%, 6% incentive or salary hike, depending on the condition of inflation. But you know, this growth is very, very slow, and scientists might be having some issues with this, so they are leaving it. Slow promotion system, yes, I already told you, it's based on the seniority, it's very slow procedure, and based on the hierarchy. Doesn't matter how talented you are, how new great ideas that you have, your senior is going to get basically more attention when it comes to promotion. So some scientists, especially young scientists, I would say, they might be feeling little bit stuck to it. Even senior scientists might be feeling stuck to it, but earlier they did not have option to explore. Either they were leaving ISRO for international organizations like NASA or JAXA, but now they have options in India itself. Though they can remain in India, they can explore their basically ideas and all that. So yes, slow promotion system is there. They might feeling stuck. Bureaucratic procedure, obviously being a government organization, it is conservative organization like any other government organization. Bureaucratic hurdles are there. Even some experts are saying that in the recent years, ISRO has become sort of more centralized. Okay, decisions are taken from the top, then it is permeated towards the bottom. Middle level experts and the center heads, now they have less autonomy. Some experts are saying that that is a reason that many ISRO projects are actually behind the deadline. So there can be a bureaucratic procedure, it might be slow, little bit claustrophobic there in that way. Okay, so they are leaving it. Not able to retain experienced scientists. This is clearly shown by the records. These scientists which are resigning in the recent time, many of them are very, very senior scientists. They had an experience of 15 years, 20 years, they are resigning, and there is some issues, maybe salary, maybe bureaucratic structure or some other issues. That is why they are leaving it. ISRO is not able to retain the experienced scientist. Look, a scientist, young scientist doesn't impact much. Okay, but a scientist with experience of 15 years, 20 years, who might be involved in so many projects, crucial projects, if that senior person is leaving, it is going to create lot of vacuum there. Anyways, limited financial incentives, yes, that is there because ISRO has a particular budget in the budget allocation, and ISRO has to work under that budget, which can be very tight budget, so things go a little bit slowly, and scientists don't have financial incentive like private sector. If, like in private sector, what happens if they are working on a project, if that project is successful, then all people involved there in that particular project actually gets incentive, they get bonus, they get parties, or they get more exposure. But it doesn't happen ISRO. If a project is successful or failure, doesn't matter much, they are not going to get any incentive, no salary hike, no bonus, no recognition in that way. Okay, so yes, less financial incentive even after doing work hours and hours, so that is there. So they might be feeling that they are not getting due respect that they deserve. Over dependence on the senior, that is also there. Recruitment is very slow, new scientists are not coming up with the great enthusiasm and all that. So yes, ISRO largely depends on the senior staff, which is there with ISRO for so many years, and that is clearly visible if you look at the record of the officers there. Most of them are actually very, very senior. It's a good thing in a way. But yes, if there is a over dependence on the seniors and they leave, now you don't have a backup in that way. And many senior scientists are leaving, so these projects which were there, and they can be stuck for longer period of time because we don't have bench strength basically, we are dependent on the seniors. Recruitment is very slow, obviously, because budget constraints are there. You know very well how these recruitment in the government sector happens. So there is a long procedure when it comes to recruitment, and an interview process, written process, that screening and everything, it takes a lot of time. And so we are basically having less number of talent coming up in the ISRO. And there was recently this interview coming from the ISRO chief, who said that IITians do not want to work with ISRO. Reason is low salary, and even if they join, they actually leave it. Let me give you an example. Right now, we are praising Skyroot, right? Skyroot has become the first private company in India which launched its own private launch vehicle. We are praising it, but you know, both the founders in Skyroot are coming from they are IITians. They joined ISRO some years back, and in 2018 they resigned and they started their own startup called Skyroot. Okay, and now it has become a very good player in the private sector. So yes, there might be some people who might be stuck there. And yes, there is a competition from the private sector. So obviously, if there is a competition in a market, new players are coming up. So you need to be in a competition zone, right? It happens when the private company is coming. So you need to innovate more. You need to basically have better practices than your competitor. Otherwise, you are going to lose your competitor. I'm not saying that ISRO is losing, because ISRO has a deep base, but still there is a competition in the market, and it can be an indication for the future. So down the line, 5 years, down the line, 10 years, when there are going to be more big private players, it can basically be very challenging for ISRO. So that is why we need to address this problem today. So because of this resignation, which are the projects which are going to be very heavily impacted? So there are very crucial projects which were going on in NASA, and they have a future date to launch, and some are basically there. So we have Gaganyaan mission, which is one of the most ambitious and the crucial mission that we are going to launch. It's a crew module. So basically we are going to launch astronauts in the space, which is extremely important. And right now testings are going on. Crew module, escape module, basically, that we are going to launch Gaganyaan. And in this critical moment, if a senior scientist who is engaged in the Gaganyaan mission or other projects under this, it is going to be very, very impactful for the whole mission. Yes? Now, Chandrayaan follow-up missions. Like we have Chandrayaan, but they are sending data to us. We need to have very experienced scientists to process that particular data in order to find the findings. But if some scientists are coming out of ISRO, it is also going to impact it. Then we have Shukriyaan. We have a future program that we are going to send mission to the Venus that can also be impacted. So after Gaganyaan, this is our priority. It is going to be hampered. We have the next gen launch vehicle. Okay, so we had PSLV, now GSLV, Mark 3 and all that. But for future, ISRO is planning to develop some next level launch vehicle which can be little bit smaller and they can be built very fast. It can also be impacted future launch vehicles. Bharatiya Antariksh Station, which is India's long-term project because China is working on its own space station. China has actually developed in space station, but in future, if we want to be becoming like, we want to be Vishwaguru or Viksit Bharat, then for that we need to have our own Bharatiya Antariksh Station in future. It can be impacted if senior scientists are leaving. Then we have reusable launch vehicle. Recently we have seen SpaceX company has launched its own reusable launch vehicle. China has also successfully tested its reusable launch vehicle, and ISRO is also planning it from 2015 actually. It's been like 10 years, more than 10 years. And yes, if senior scientists are going to leave, and these projects can be hampered, and the SpaceX, so that is also going to be there. So these are some of the very crucial projects which are either in the stage of initial development stage or the next development stage. But yes, if scientists which are involved with these projects, it is going to be definitely impacted. Just for a brief moment, let me tell you some of the names of the private players, of the startups which are now working in India. Look, India has opened up its private space sector for the private companies 2020, and in last 5 to 6 years we have more than 20 startups. Some of these startups have done extremely well, and here I would like to mention 2 startups now. One is the Skyroot that we very well know, the first private private company which launched its own satellite Vikram S, and India has become the 3rd country in the world. China, US and India, which launched its own private sector. Extremely important. They can ask you in the exam also. Agnikul is also a very important company, Agnikul Cosmos, and it has tested its sub-orbit station, which is completely made by 3D basically, 3D printing, and UPSC already did ask a question from this part. They can ask you from there because they already asked from there. Now we have Pixel, which is an imaging satellite, basically there to click the pictures of the ground. And we have Digantra as well, which is working for the space debris. You know, lots of satellites are launched. Space is becoming very crowded, so it is working on the space debris. We have this Galaxy, so this is for the Earth observation. We have Dhruv Space, we have SatShore, we have so many other companies also. You don't need to cram all the names. You just need to know the names which are in news, and in future if some other company is coming up with some new idea which is in news, please keep that in mind as well. So now we have seen the news, we have also seen the issues and the impact, but what is the solution? That is very important that you need to write in your answers also. Solution can be long term and short term. So immediately what ISRO needs to do, first of all, that recruitment should be very fast. So look, there is a limited talent pool that we have in our colleges and all that, right? IITs or ISRO and all these organizations. So there is a limited talent pool. If your process of hiring new talent is slow, it means best talent is already recruited by the private companies. So your recruitment process should be so fast that you pick the best talent earlier than the private companies. So that there should not be any delay here. So that bureaucratic process, that paperwork, it should be important obviously, but it should not slow down the process. Mission based incentive. Look, you have a definite salary, you have a package that is there. But if a scientist, engineer, technician is connected with a particular project and that project is successful, so there should be mission based incentive. There should be a basically bonus, sort of gift. It can be in any ways, but yes, mission based incentive should be there, because these missions take years and years. They can take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. One scientist is working day and night on a particular project for so many years, and when it is successful, there should be particular bonus, because every project cannot have the same level of difficulties. Some projects demand more concentration, more time, right? So incentives should be given according to the project these scientists are involved in. Then flexible resignation policy. Yes, so we should not be very harsh to this. Flexible resignation energy basically will invite more talent to ISRO. If it is easy to come, easy to go, there is more flexibility. It will basically enhance your image rather than, so nobody wants to join an organization which is very strict. Everyone wants flexible in, flexible out. That should be there. Now there should be long-term solutions here. Performance link incentive. I told about that there should be mission-based incentive also and performance-based incentive. Some scientists are doing exceptional work. Their ideas are there. They're implementing it, leading the team, operations and everything. So there should be performance-linked incentive. Everyone wants little extra as an incentive if their mission is successful. It's a basic human nature. So their work should be recognized because private sector is doing that. You must also should do that because now you are in a competition with the private sector. Mission completion bonus definitely should be there. Should be a policy. It should be a written policy by the government. Okay, only then there are clear terms and conditions and new talent will join you. Faster promotion, obviously. So you should not be stick to your senior based, hierarchy based promotion. If there is a scientist, there is a new recruit who is exceptional, his or her work, it should be recognized. So there should be promotion or like that. ISRO private collaboration. So rather than getting threatened or rather than looking at private sector as a threat, it should look like a collaboration basically between. It's very beautifully happening in America. We have SpaceX there, which is such a huge company now, private sector led by Elon Musk, and there is NASA. There's a clear-cut collaboration between both. NASA is very much clear that which project it is going to lead. And the SpaceX is also very clear. There's a clear-cut collaboration. It can happen in India also. ISRO can focus on deep missions, right? Deep sort of research, long-term projects, and private sector can be joining ISRO in order to, let's say, mass manufacturing, designing, research, that sort of project. So it is basically hand in hand rather than two different adversaries. So we should not look into from that perspective. And there should be research freedom also, na? These scientists from ISRO, they should be collaborating with the international organization. There should be more sharing of data and information, more IP, intellectual property sharing should be there. So it will actually enhance basically when there is a high tide, so everybody is lifted basically, right? And there should be industry exchange program. So we should not be very strict. Our scientists from the ISRO, they should be basically they should have exposure of academia, or professorship, or they can work with the private companies, private laboratories. So they go there, they learn there, they train there, and they come back and serve ISRO. So it should be like that. So they should have more exposure because there are a lot of different ideas. They should be exposed, and if their ideas are implemented here, back in India, it is going to lift not only government sector, ISRO, but also private sector, which is a win-win situation for everyone. So after discussing this whole issue in much detail, I would like to say that growth of private sector should not be looked at a threat to the ISRO, but rather than it should be complementing what ISRO is already doing. So ISRO has already made a foundation basically. On that foundation, these new companies can come up, they can help each other, and this is based not only about particular one company or one organization, this is about the whole space ecosystem in India, and as a country, as a nation, in future and also in present, we should look it as from the perspective of unity rather than looking at it like from the competition perspective. Yes, definitely competition is there, but healthy competition is always good for the whole industry. If there were some issues with ISRO, with some new developments, ISRO is going to rectify those issues, which is a good thing for ISRO as well. And the private sector is also there. So there should be collaboration between government and the private sector rather than looking at each other as a competition. So with that, let me conclude this. Thank you. Jai Hind.